Okay, hi. So I said that I was going to record this, and tomorrow is our third week of the accountability group that we're calling it, but I've been kind of wanting to rewrite that as my growth network because that is exactly what's happening. Everyone's growing, and it's this method that I'm reviewing is basically building in your own accountability. So I effed up and I did not record last week. So the first week was Wednesday, January 13th. And then the second week was Wednesday, January 20th. That's the one I forgot to record. Tomorrow's going to be the third. So I'm going to recap what we went over the first week for those that want a recap, and then for those that weren't a part of it. So I believe the reason that I wanted to bring this all to fruition is because I have learned so much from each person that I've worked with, and I feel that we can all learn from each other. We all have perspectives that are just so different and so thoughtful and intentional. And also, I've been reading a ton about the healing powers of community. Like communities coming together, having nothing to do with doctors or nurses or health practitioners at all, and making advancements in their health. So power in numbers, one of my favorite hashtags, and that's the main reason why I wanted to bring this all to an actual thing. I can't think of a better word, but event that happens every week, a weekly progress. We talked about the first week about the disconnect between what we want and what we do, and it has so much to do with this concept that's been passed down that has a missing link. And that's what we'll be talking about today, is that the method to changing a behavior can be broken down very simply. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or an Albert Einstein to figure it out. But it has to do with figuring out the missing link where it is in the pattern. And what we often do is we end up self deprecating, right? Or just having negative self-talk and saying, what the hell is wrong with me? Why? Like for me, why can't I get this down? I am strong enough. I am capable. I am very determined. Why is this not working? Well, I've learned to figure out where in the link something is off, and then that helps me break it down to, we talked about this the first week, small actions over time that feels good. So the feeling good part, if you do something, like if you try to change a behavior and something doesn't feel good, number one, like say it's like the morning greens shot for all of us 30-day people. Like that, for some people, it's like, oh my gosh, that's really not my most favorite part of the day. But you know that it does a lot of good things for you. So even if it the taste isn't like, oh, it's amazing. Instead, it's like you take it back and then you're like, I did it. Like some kind of celebration. Even if you're like, for a second, I was never that way, but some people told me that they had that reaction. And then others love it, or they learn to love it anyway. But if you celebrate or you self-praise or you show some form of self-love after doing that thing that either you didn't really like, or if you're trying to do something and it just is too hard, like say you want to do 20 push-ups a day and you do 10, you're like, oh my God, how the hell am I ever going to do 20? This is ridiculous. You make it smaller so that you can actually do 2, and you're like, okay, I did 2. I got 2 down, 2 tomorrow, the next day, and then you build on that. So the idea is small actions over time that feel good to change the behavior. Okay? So when you break it down in that way and that it's small actions, it's fast. We talked about that the first week, that small actions are fast. So you can move them into your routine very quickly, get them over with, feel good, celebrate, and then obviously expand on that as time allows, because you're going to be incorporating, you're going to realize that you're building off of that small thing. You're going to find windows in your day, and this is total proof because I'll be talking about my one thing that I wanted to change, and I'm going to try and not gab on and on because it's already been 6 minutes and here I am gabbing. So the feeling good part. The first week we talked about how there are scientifically proven natural pathways in your brain, okay? Natural pathways in your brain that are, and I use the analogy of the snow tire tread marks. Perfect day. Today is Tuesday, January 26th, and it snowed like, I don't know, 5 inches or something. So in my 2006 Honda Civic, I will remain in those snow tire tread marks very easily, and I will have a hard time getting out of them. Many of you probably don't have that situation, but pretend you're all in a 2006 Honda Civic. And it feels very comfortable. You're just going to stay in your lane. Feels good. Though many times those comfortable pathways in your brain are associated with either mediocrity or more so and more likely negative self-talk. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why can't I get this done? I want to do it, so what is my problem? Okay, that's where we go. So if you have a hard time with the self-love part, and this is someone I used to be, and this is a lot of people that I work with now, a lot that are in total unawareness, complete and utter unawareness that they talk poorly to themselves in their head. They're not saying it out loud. Some people do, but most people, especially the ones that don't know they're doing it, are doing it in their head. And if it is hard for you to celebrate small little actions that you're doing, and this is me, if it's hard for you to do it, you are talking shit to yourself in your head and you don't even know it. It has been so hard for me to do the little self-celebrations when I do small actions. I'm like, oh my God, I'm one of those people. I am in denial. Like so many others are like, no, I don't know. That's not me. I don't talk shit to myself in my head. You don't even know that you are. Okay. So remember, feeling good. And if it's something good for you, like a green shot in the morning, and it's like, oh, it's not like the most lovable thing. Love yourself right after you do it. Reward yourself. Like you give a treat to a dog to teach a trick. Like you clap and say yay when your little child does something new and they're learning and growing. You have to do the same to yourself, or you will not learn and grow. That's how the world works. Like that's how human behavior works. And the world works, unfortunately, where we nix that for adults. We nix it. We're just like, no, we're not doing that anymore. So you have to practice little ways to, and I'm laughing because one of the ways that I have been self-celebrating is making like a crowd roaring noise, like, ah. Like that's one of my little things. And then other things that I do, like I high five myself in the mirror. I like do a little clap jig thing. Like it could be physical, it could be in your head, it could be a noise like whoop whoop. I do that a lot. So And it's multiple things. It doesn't have to be one thing every time. Or if you want to really figure out how to self-celebrate, then just do that one thing so that and then you can build off that. Small action, done over time, built for progression. Okay. So then we talked about the growth work. There were 2 growth work assignments the first week. The grounding technique. So in this method, the grounding technique is basically where you put your feet on the ground in the morning, wake up, put your feet on the ground, and you say to yourself something to the effect of, today is going to be a great day, or today is going to be awesome. And I asked everyone their feedback, and I told everyone at first that if you tried this and it just didn't stick, or it didn't quite work and that you didn't have a great day, there has to be some intention. Like, you can't, the whole idea behind affirmations is that you're not supposed to say like, I am like, I don't know, I am a fitness model. Like, I don't wake up and say that, or that's not in my affirmations because I'm not a fitness model. Is that something that like I think about? That would be cool, but I'm not telling myself something that isn't true. Okay, so when it comes to affirmations, and the idea is a lot of people think that it's and this thing in the morning, it's similar to an affirmation. It's an intention for your day. But the idea behind affirmations is not telling yourself something that you have a lot of doubt in. So in the morning, if there's a day ahead where you're like, I don't know how this is going to be a good day, then say something to that effect, that you're still trying to set the intention inside that you have control over your emotions and your feelings for the day, or your reactions. Okay, emotions and feelings, they occur, but then we can change our mindset to formulate the reaction that actually emulates who we are, or who we're driving ourselves to be. So in the morning, if you have something that's like not going to be the greatest during the day, you can say to yourself, today, somehow it's going to be a great day. And just like breathe it in and feel it for a moment. You don't have to sit there for 5 minutes, because then you might fall back asleep. So feel it, and then move along with your day. So for me, I realized the first day, because I thought about it the night before I was going to sleep. Okay, tomorrow's my morning growth work assignment. So I put my feet on the floor, and I noticed, this is in hindsight, that my toes just touched because my bed's a little high. And I do my normal, grab my water and my supplements, and I got up and I took a couple steps, and I'm like, oh, my growth work. And I just like laid my hand right here, and I said, today's gonna be a good day. And then I just kept moving into the bathroom, where a couple weeks, so in the beginning of January, I plugged my phone into the bathroom because I no longer want to be a snoozer. Like, I do not want to hit my snooze anymore. I did get rid of my scrolling in bed thing by replacing it with a meditation, which is awesome. Like a sleep cast meditation. So my phone has been in the bathroom, charging overnight, alarm going off, me going in, turning my alarm off, and then high-fiving myself in the mirror. And so many people think that is ridiculous. And you, if you think that it is, are my friend, are a negative talker in your head. Like, that is proof. If you have like yuck to the idea of like doing something so silly but fun and self-loving, like high-fiving yourself in the mirror, or telling yourself today's going to be a great day, or something along those lines, you talk shit to yourself, and you probably don't even know it. We all do it. That's like what our society just like feeds. Like, compare yourself to this and that, and you're not good enough. So those couple of things. So the growth work was to put your feet on the ground, tell yourself today's going to be a great day, or something to that effect. And I got feedback from a few different people that Crystal turned it into like her morning prayer, which was awesome. Marta said that it did remind her of affirmations, which is fantastic. I can't remember a few of the other feedback because, again, I didn't record that one, but that's okay. But if it doesn't work for you, that's because something is missing in the equation, and we will figure that out today. So let's get into the method, the equation. So I was going to try and do an Albert Einstein impersonation where he's like, E equals mc squared. And today's equation is B equals MAP. So behavior equals motivation, ability, and prompt happening at the same moment. So converging into that one moment, those three parts of the equation have to happen for a behavior to happen. Whether it be good behavior, bad behavior, motivation, ability, prompt at the same time. So when it comes to the morning growth work, the grounding technique, so motivation is this, what we're talking about, right? And the idea of motivating yourself to have the great day. Ability is how easy is it for you to do that? When you wake up, do you put your feet on, do you put your feet on the ground? Yes. So it's very easy. It's a very easy thing for you to do. And then prompt is your feet actually touching the ground. So it's like a physical thing that happens. That is your prompt. So motivation is your desire. Ability is your capacity, how easy or how difficult it is for you to do it. And your prompt is your cue for the behavior to happen. So a couple people just forgot, and then they did it later on in their day. That was Lindsay. She said that she has a normal morning routine, and that gives her so much fulfillment that she thought of it maybe, an hour later. She's like, oh my gosh, the grounding technique. And then she did it then. So if it fits in your day, or if you're doing something already that is just giving you like that fulfillment and that intention for your day, keep doing that. You don't have to do this. It's just an example for anyone who really needs to set their mind right for the day in the morning and start something very simple that creates behavior, self-love, and routine, discipline. Okay, so I hope I have my drawing. Yes. Okay, I have my drawing from last week. So I did a drawing. I think it's going to be backwards. Here is, for all the visual learners, which many are, including myself, we've got a few lines here, okay? So this line going up and down represents motivation. This line going across represents ability, so the ease or difficulty of doing it. So easy is on this end and on this end of motivation, and then hard is here at the corner. And I'll go with giving an example of nighttime scrolling in bed. So the motivation is that it feels good. We are very addicted to social media and our phones, and it basically, if you've seen anything when it comes to what exactly cell phones and social media are doing to our levels of our dopamine levels, like it's like a drug. We're literally releasing these levels that are making us feel really happy and needed and wanted and feeling good. So the motivation is very high, right? Very high, very easy. Okay, and then the ability, how hard or easy is it to grab your phone and start scrolling while you're in bed? If your phone is there, it is very easy. If your phone is not there, it is very hard. So nighttime scrollers, if your phone is in bed, here is where you would be on this chart. You would be on this side or this edge of the easy on ability and motivation, right here. So you are going to do it. Unless you replace, so I replaced my scrolling habit months ago with switching it to a meditation, but I still would scroll a bit before I put my meditation on. So I was making it a little bit harder, but it was still easy for me to scroll if I chose to do that instead. So it was my motivation. Like, what did I get out of meditating? Oh my gosh, I went to bed right away, I fell asleep, and I felt awesome in the morning. So that was my motivation, was that feeling of deep sleep, good sleep. So high motivation is that it's made easy for you to do. And then if someone has low motivation, obviously, it would. Oh, and if it's hard for you to do, low motivation, and if it's hard for you to do, then when the prompt happens, you will not do the behavior. So the action line. Okay, so there's a relationship between motivation and ability. And this curved line right here is called the action line. So that is where that small action, or large, but we're talking about small actions, that's where the relationship comes together between the two, between motivation, ability, and then this action line. So if anyone is above the action line, for us night scrollers, we are here. So when you're prompted, the behavior will happen. So how are we prompted by our phones? Notifications. That's how we're prompted. That's why we are so addicted to our phones. So one thing you can do, as Lindsay Costello pointed out last week, is turn your notifications off on your phone if you want to start reducing your addiction to it. And I did that when she told me a few weeks ago, and it is very helpful. I turned my text prompts off too, and I missed a ton of texts. But so I turned my text back on, text prompts, notifications, but everything else is off. Facebook, Instagram, email, all of it is off, and I have designated times as when to check those things. So in order to change a behavior, we have to get you or your kid or your partner or your best friend, we have to get you, or your animal, that was another thing, above the action line. We have to get you here to do the good behavior change. If you want to make it harder, if you want to stop doing something negative, you have to get yourself below the action line to make a change. You want to stop scrolling in bed? You got to make it hard for yourself to have your phone. Because motivation's not going anywhere. And that's why we talked about this the first week. That motivation is the most unreliable source. It's part of the equation, and that's what we usually run on for our behavior changes, is motivation. It's the weakest link. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. So we have to work on the ability. That is where we can drive change, the ability. And then prompt is super important too. So this model applies to all human behavior in the entire world. This simple little piece of knowledge. That's it. This applies to everything. So you could start, you don't have to memorize this, but just imagine it in your head when you have these thoughts of like, why can't I get this? Yet. Always end it with yet. Because if you want to get it, you can. It's just a matter of figuring it out. Figure it out. Where is this? Where is your ability? Is it hard? Is it easy? If it's hard, break it down, make it easier. Small actions. If if you need to stick it, like we'll talk about this in a moment. But okay, let me just move forward with this. This is me going haywire. All human behavior. Okay? Equation for all human behavior. Motivation, ability, and prompt converging together at one moment. If any of these three elements are missing, the behavior will not happen. Period. See where I am in my notes. I did this thing where I went back and forth. Okay. So here we are. Okay. So then we did an activity. And it's basically where you draw a cloud in the middle of a piece of paper. And this was growth work number 2. We wanted to bring a behavior to the group and figure out how we can start changing that behavior through this model. So everybody brought a behavior, and this was so cool. We all talked and like helped each other out and brainstormed, and it was awesome. So I'll talk about my behavior. So you write the behavior, and when you call it an aspiration, that's something that you dream to move forward into. You dream to have it be you is your aspiration. So I brought a very simple aspiration. I will share it. My simple aspiration was that I wanted to nix the dirty dishes in my sink. Okay? Simple, but you will find out how big it really is. So you write your aspiration in the cloud in the middle of your piece of paper. And then around it, you write out 5 to 10 behaviors that would lead to that aspiration becoming a thing in your life. Then of those 5 behaviors, I'll read out my behaviors, okay? So I had a hard time figuring out the behaviors. And so going by this method, it told me to ask people around me. I'm not going to ask people around me, but I thought about what they would tell me. Like I thought about because I know what people would say. Well, why don't you get a new dishwasher? Because my dishwasher is broken. So number 1 would be, why don't you use your dishwasher? Or do you have a dishwasher? Yes, I do. And I had it replaced, and it still is shitty. It does not work. Okay. So that was one behavior that is not going to work. Number 2 behavior. Wash the dish every time I use it. I tried that. But I am a person that gets distracted easily. I am somebody who obviously that concept is too big. So I have to break it down into small actions, okay? So that hasn't worked. I've tried that. I failed. So I need to do something similar to it, but break it down. Number 3 thing that people, I feel, would say to me, well, why don't you move since your place is not adequate to live in? Okay. So this is where my motivation is, okay? My desire is that I am going to be moving in June in with my boyfriend. And he's a very tidy person. He never has dishes in the sink, ever, unless they're in the drying rack. He has a dishwasher that works. And so, of course, I will be utilizing that dishwasher. But if I don't have a good base habit of cleaning up after myself in the kitchen, at the sink, then of course I'm going to have an also hard time putting those dishes into the dishwasher. Okay, so if I can't make the movements to make this habit happen, it's going to be hard to transition into that habit. So I know that Joe, my boyfriend, really feels great about being neat and tidy. And when I'm there, I love it. I love his house. Lives very simply, doesn't have a lot of shit around. I love that. And I aspire to be very clean and tidy one day. People that know me will find that hard to believe, but that is an aspiration. And it starts with this tiny, small movement, action. So that is my ultimate desire, okay? So I am moving. It's just not going to be for a few months. So why not start now to get this habit in place? Okay. Number 4. People would say, why don't you just use something disposable? Paper, styrofoam, plastic. I would rather cut my fingers off than hurt my Mother Earth in that way. Like, that is completely against my moral code. That is not happening for me ever. Like, I would always rather wash dishes for 42 hours after an entire mess hall of people eating than throw stuff away in the garbage. It's just not me. Maybe I would recycle some paper plates, but even that is, it's still waste. Like, the recycling system is broken. So let's minimize and not use crap, okay? And then the 5th or 6th behavior supporting my aspiration would be wash a couple at a time. Okay? Wash a couple at a time. So you write out those supported behaviors for your aspiration. You put a star by the ones that are the best ones that would help you reach that aspiration. Like, what are the absolute best? Pick 2 or 3. And then put a circle around the behaviors that are super easy, that you would definitely do without any hesitation, or the most minimal hesitation. Okay? And whatever has circles and stars are your golden behaviors. So those are the ones that will help you actually achieve your aspiration. How, you ask? You start small. And you find a prompt to attach it to. So think of your environment, whatever your aspiration is. Mine is obviously in the kitchen. So think of my environment, my time of day. What would make me get to washing those dishes a couple at a time, a few times a day? What would it be? I decided that it was washing my hands. I wash my hands a few times a day. So over this last week, I realized that I use the bathroom sink to wash my hands a little more often than I do the kitchen sink. That's okay. Like, that's what's called modification. Okay, so my original thought wasn't perfect, so I'm going to modify. I'm not going to be like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. I don't wash my hands in the kitchen sink very much, so I'm just going to have dirty dishes all the time. No, that's what most people would do. But we are not most people. We have this, the answer to all human behavior. So I decided that, okay, well, I feed Moses 3 times a day. So every time I put his food in a bowl, put it down, I'm going to wash a dish or 2. 1 to 2 dishes. That's my baseline. I also drink 2 cups of tea per day. So when I put my mug of filtered clean water into my microwave to 1 minute 30 seconds, I'm going to wash a dish or 2. And this is how I added on. So I started with just Moses eating. Then I was like, oh, I've got a minute here, a minute and a half. Okay, I'm gonna wash a dish or 2. There's something else that I was doing in my kitchen. Oh, I was listening to a podcast. Put it in my ears, wash some dishes. Okay, so I did the baseline, and then quickly I realized these little other windows where I'm like, dude, I could totally multitask with a purpose right now. Okay, cool, did it. And I celebrated. Not every time, I have to get better with that, but like celebrate those little wins, especially when you're in the development of that habit and behavior. That's the time to celebrate. And for those that have a hard time celebrating, practice celebrating. Wash a dish or do whatever small action you're doing and just literally like, ooh, I washed my dish, I did it. Like, yes. So you have to like, I think I'm blushing. Am I blushing? You have to like feel it, because then you're gonna do it again, and then eventually the celebration may die off, but that gives room for other celebrations of other behaviors that you're gonna be bringing into your life that are going to be changing who you are and bringing you so much closer to your actual aspirations in life, which is what? This is my bleeping aspiration. Become strong as fuck. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Thank you, Deeds. My best friend gave me this for my birthday. It was awesome. Okay, so that's it. 37 minutes. Oh my God, who's gonna watch this? I have no idea. But I hope you do, because I think it's awesome stuff. So practice the new behavior. Troubleshoot, bring it to the group. Let's figure out like how it's not working, what we can adjust, how we can make it smaller, where we can prompt you, what's in your routine. We will discover, we'll explore, we'll modify, we'll grow. It'll be awesome. This is the Growth Network. Thank you for being a part of it. Make today so great because you deserve it.